Hey everyone, this is Alan McKay. Welcome to episode 41. I'm going to be interviewing the character team from Gears of War. So this is the latest Gears of War. It just got announced at E3 last week, so early June 2015. And this is a really, really cool episode with a lot of really cool, really talented guys who are all obviously from more character backgrounds, doing all the creature modeling and main character modeling for the game. So we talk a lot about the methodology, a lot about their process, their techniques, as well as the things that they struggle with, tools that they use, everything else. It's a really insightful episode. Lastly, just for anyone new to this podcast who haven't listened to any episodes before, I'll just give a very basic rundown and say that this whole episode, I should say this whole podcast, is more situated around interviewing a lot of artists, designers, other creatives, as well as sometimes interviewing developers and even product managers for Autodesk and stuff like that too, and feature film directors. There's a lot of really cool stuff, but it's more about building your career and how to really expand your skill set, your mindset, your career in general, a lot more beyond what I typically see, which is, there's lots of tutorials and lots of other great information out there on how to use ZBrush or how to use Max or Maya. There isn't a lot of material on really how to build your inspiration, your motivation, your career, how to get more money, how to negotiate or build your brand. A lot of the things that are so crucial yet so overlooked with what we do. And so for me, the whole reason that I've done these episodes and to do something like this is a chance for me to be able to bring in some of the best in the industry, and in this case in multiple industries, from video games to design and motion graphics to feature film and TV and in other areas altogether, and be able to talk to them about ways that they've managed to gain a lot of their success, how they've managed to build their career up, and how you can apply a lot of this to your own career and be able to utilize that to reach your goals, to get what you need, to benefit a lot more from it. So I think that's my sporadic one-off kind of overview of, I guess, how I see this. But again, I just wanted to put this out there because obviously I've been getting a lot more listeners on this podcast recently. It's been up in the hundreds of thousands now and ranking extremely high, typically within the top 50 on iTunes. Last time I checked, it was number 16, but iTunes tends to fluctuate. So yeah, I wanted to just kind of mention that as well, but also just give a bit of insight into what to expect this episode. Lastly, if you can, I'd love you to death if you can share this episode around. I think this is one that everyone can grab so much insight from. So I'd love everyone to check it out if you think it's going to be something that others can benefit from. So that is it. Let's get in, guys.
Welcome to the Alan McKay Podcast. Alan is an Emmy Award-winning visual effects artist and mentor to many leading industry experts. Listen in as Alan talks with other industry leaders in film, video games, and visual effects about their experience, lessons, and methodology. Alan will teach you pivotal advice to fast-track your career, better your skills, and reach your ultimate dream job. Check out the latest episodes on alanmckay.com.
Do you want a vodka to...
I should be okay.
Only one at the table, guys. Only one at the table.
I'm okay with water.
I think we need beer hats.
Beer hats.
Oh, man, with the straws. Heber Alvarado, character artist, Microsoft. Been there for 4 years now. So I guess in industry together, this is my 10th year, I guess. So a bit of a milestone for me. Very excited to be working there on the new Gears project.
Cool. Where were you working before?
Before that, I worked at United Front Games. I worked there for a couple of years on Sleeping Dogs.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt. Was that the one in Yaletown that, just when I was leaving Vancouver, was setting up above the bar?
Yeah, that was us.
Yeah, I had respect for that whole idea.
It was a really good experience. I think what happened was that Activision canceled the game, and then Square Enix picked it up, so it actually gave it a second life, and it was able to ship. So it was a really good experience to be there. Mm-hmm. Before that, I worked at Rockstar on Max Payne, and before that, Propaganda on Turok. So I've been around for a little bit.
Nice, man. That's cool. One last thing, Turok. How well did that do?
Surprisingly better than I thought it would. So what happened was when that game was coming out, it actually had a bit of a cult following. So I think people, on the name alone, a lot of people ended up actually buying it. But the product wasn't all that well received, from a critical standpoint.
Oh, that looked good.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It looked okay.
It's a dinosaur one, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think what happened was that people were at least able to say that the characters look good. They like how the dinosaurs look, which is the part that I was involved with. So I took something away from that too, and it was early enough in my career that I was able to springboard from that.
The T-Rex sculpt you have, it's really awesome.
I remember like back in the it was like 10.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a long time. I remember you posting it and stuff, even just on your website. I was like, wow, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I can't look at it now though, but back then, I was happy with it.
What ZBrush was that?
That was ZBrush, I think 1 or 2. So when we were working on the game,
0.03.
ZBrush didn't have layers or didn't have subtools.
Brushes.
So you needed to bring in one entire giant OBJ and sculpt on that, which was a pain in the ass, but we got through it.
That's great. That's cool. Nice, man. What about you? Daniel, I should...
Yeah,
no one can see me staring at you while
It's gonna get complicated with the 2 days.
two Dans and one character team. It's the worst thing that's ever happened on my career.
Best.
It's better than 2 Chris Nichols at the same company.
That's true. That's true.
So I've been at Microsoft sort of on and off for the past 4 years, and before that I freelanced for a while, and I worked at a motion design studio, which was my first job. That was back in 2006, and I kind of bounced between Brazil and Canada for a while. Like I went to VFS in 2007, and then back to Brazil. But I was doing a master's in Vancouver, and I got an internship at Microsoft, and that's sort of how it all unraveled. So it's been my first. These past 4 years have been my first sort of video game industry job, but it's been great.
I'm just curious because like VFS, like Vancouver Film School, you guys like they focus a lot on. Actually, it's more Sheridan that does like a lot more character oriented stuff, right?
Well, the program I did was a digital character animation called. So we made short films. Yeah, so I did a short film and. I've always kind of wanted to go into games, but that was something that I really like doing as well. I like writing and like art direction type stuff. So when I had the opportunity to come to VFS, it was also their cheapest program, so that kind of defined it right there. But I ended up taking the opportunity doing a short film, and I'm glad that I did because it was a great opportunity and. It worked out pretty well, and now I know. Now I have done one, and I know how much it hurts. So.
That's awesome. And you studied character animation?
Yeah, I never really focused much on the animation part because originally my plan was to do a character reel, and they were, we'd rather you do a short film. Like, yeah, that's okay. So I decided to focus more on like the lighting and photography and it's like story development of it, which. It hurt the short film a little bit, I suppose, but I was never going to become a great animator in 6 months anyway, so I kind of think it was the right decision.
You're doing character... That was the thing, is like, we hung out the other day, and this is typical of me, it's like, you spend a good 12 hours getting drunk with someone, and I never talk about what
like 12 is an understatement.
Yeah. It really is.
But like, I'm assuming you do more modeling stuff now, right?
Yeah,
Or did I completely just miss that in between all the beer? And
No, it's true. Yeah, like we sort of do this thing where everybody does like kind of owns a character as much as possible anyway. So
right.
I do everything right now. I like texturing and materials a bit more because I was always sort of a generalist. So the text side, it really attracts me, and I like the texturing as well. So I kind of tend to focus more on that if I can. But yeah, like character art in general. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Danny did all the promotion renders for our Gears 4 stuff, and then the Gears of War remastered.
Yeah, so the screenshots and stuff that are out.
There's no Danny. Actually, the t-shirts. These t-shirts we're wearing right now. This Danny's.
You can't see them, but
front. Yeah.
I feel so left out.
You got a black shirt. You're still good.
Yeah.
it's funny because we said breakfast and I said Activision, and I noticed two people in the room turn their heads, so I'd start talking quieter because I'm like, fucking Activision people everywhere. So, so yeah, it's like, same thing as like Gears of War. I'm sure you guys are going to walk around E3 now being all badass. But
as I can pull off. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have to get you guys drunk and be like, let's trade shirts. Actually, I've got a signed Call of Duty poster over there. I haven't framed it yet.
Yeah, you should get that up, man.
But those guys were awesome to like get everyone on the team to autograph it all when I was leaving.
Yeah.
So we'll ship you a shirt.
Yeah, I'll give you a shirt.
Sweet.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'll bring you one in Vegas.
There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah, I'll leave Vegas with.
You'll probably leave it without your shirt.
Yeah, I'll get drunk in Vegas, and
that's a good time in Vegas.
Yeah, that's a good time. Yeah.
If you lose only your shirt,
I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Your shirt and your dignity,
and
your soul.
Yeah. Well, whatever's left of it.
So before you came onto Microsoft, like where were you before that?
So my first job was at a motion design studio called Santa Motion back in Brazil, and I did that. For about 2.5 years with VFS sort of stuck in between there. And then I was freelancing out of my apartment before Microsoft. And I did like about a year of my master's. And then I had the internship at Microsoft, and it kind of like just stuck there and never really went back. I did finish the master's, but I would just like go there like an afternoon a week or something like that. And yeah, and then just that's where I've been since.
Cool. Well, before we move on to Dan too, I'm just curious. Like, so when you first went to Microsoft, I guess that was like your big break in terms of going to like a big company, and like what was it like to start there?
Oh, it was great. Like the whole plan with moving back to Canada was I wanted to work with the entertainment industry because in Brazil a lot of the work comes from advertisement, and we were working a lot for like international clients, but it was still my portfolio was geared towards advertisement, and we did a piece for Disney, and there was an advertisement and a couple of like magazine covers, things like that, but most of it was advertisement. And when I moved, that was the plan. So when I was looking for an internship, I was kind of like, I'll grab whatever shows up. And when Microsoft was interested, it was pretty awesome. Like, and they emailed me, and then I went in, and I wasn't really sure of what we were going to be working on, and one thing led to another.
You're reinventing the paperclip for Microsoft Word.
Yeah, great.
Clippy.
He was missed. Yeah, now he's back.
People with like their first job in is kind of like something really substantial, rather than kind of like getting eased into it. It's always, I'm curious whether some people find it intimidating or whether you feel that pressure when you first get in to perform.
It was very daunting. When I first started, I wasn't like, I knew I wanted to work with characters, but I wasn't really sure on how exactly I was going to take what I knew and how I was used to working with like a big studio and all that. So I had to pick up the whole like real time side of things and all that. But soon enough, I found a way to contribute what I thought were my strengths into the project, which at that point on, it became easier and more pleasurable, I suppose. At first, it was pretty gut wrenching. I would walk home and like, pulled one, pull the day off. Okay, we'll see what tomorrow will be like.
I survived.
It was, but it was great.
It's like prisons. Like, will I get shanked tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. But I guess I was really lucky with first of all with the break, and then when I was in there, like everybody was super nice, and I was just like I was like a member of the team. Me and another coworker of ours, Kurt. We were the first sort of art interns Microsoft had. So nobody ever acknowledged the fact that we were interns. We were pretty much just regular employees, but everybody was.
You're almost human.
Yeah, like we like you. But anyway, it was actually it was.
They liked me. They really liked me.
Like I thought they were pulling my leg, but no, it was really good. So I never really, and I was never treated like shit. So that was good. But
not yet.
What kind of expectations do you have? Like you come into work every day, they pour tar over you, and drop feathers on you.
I guess
Never got
it's
the
not a day
hazy.
at the job.
So
Yeah.
it's long due.
Well, that's cool, man. That's really cool. And for anyone who hasn't watched your episode before, but do you want to give a little bit of a background as to who you are? And should I say what you're doing at 10 a.m. in the morning?
Yes.
No.
Well,
It's not what you think.
He has no pants on.
I love the fact that my neighbors, it's 10 in the morning and they've already, like, it's stopped now, but a second ago you hear,
Yeah.
it's a fucking nightclub next door. Like, I sometimes bust out the glow sticks and start dancing around the room. But yeah, you just want to give a quick intro as to who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Who's your dad?
Who's your dad?
Dan Roarty, lead character artist in Gears 4 with these fine gentlemen here. Been at Microsoft for about a year. Previous to that, it was on lead character artist on the new Tomb Raider project. Worked on some of the first Tomb Raider as well. Before that, I was at LucasArts, lead character artist on 1313, which just
Get a new title
never
already.
got made.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know. And then before that, I worked. Worked at 2K.
What were you there?
Don't say.
That was 2K, and then before 2K, I was at Radical for about 4 years,
Yeah.
and then
AVG.
and then AVG, and then before that, did small contract work for MTV and actually for Midway for Spy Hunter, the Spy Hunter game. So
Oh, you got around.
I got around.
That's cool. And so you moved back to Canada 10 months ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was it like coming back home?
It at first it was tough because we were in the States for 6 years. We went through last episode we talked all about like the visa stuff. It was an easy decision to move back. I wasn't sure how everything would kind of transition with leaving the States and come back to Canada, but
Yeah, you need a palm tree or two just to kind of feel ease out of it.
Yeah, but it's been awesome. Like coming on the Microsoft team with Heber, Daniel, and Michelle and stuff. I'll say this, and I don't say it lightly. Like the team just immediately clicked. Like everything, everyone was super welcoming, and shit just looked awesome and continues to look awesome. So it was a good transition. It's good to be back in Canada. I still like coming here to the States and hanging out. And,
It's a 3-hour flight. So
yeah, it's really nothing. It's really nothing. But it's good, and the weather there has been actually really good too. So
you were saying it was like 28 Celsius or something, right?
Yeah.
not
Or
bad.
for people in the States, it was closer to like the 80s. It was like mid 80s a couple weeks ago and stuff. So
Cool.
yeah.
Better than Santa Monica. I think today's good, but like we got the whole June gloom thing going on.
Well, it's kind of like SF, right? Like it's you hang out by the beach, and after like 1 or 2 o'clock on the patio, then it starts to burn off and stuff. I even got a little bit of a sunburn yesterday too, which is kind of nice.
Actually, one of my buddies from Pixar just moved here to work at DreamWorks, and he's like, I think I brought the weather with me from San Fran because just last 2 weeks have been kind of not so good. But that's cool. And I don't know, like for you coming on Gears of War, you guys announced yesterday at least what it is, and we'll talk more about the other ones and just more in general everything. But like, I don't know, like for you jumping on that project, like Gears of War 4, right?
Yeah, for me, it was a dream. It really was. I'll say I've been really fortunate. I've been able to work on some pretty cool stuff, but Gears of War was a game that I, played just like these guys. Was a huge fan of it and played all of them. So when I heard that they were starting to do Gears of War, like in Vancouver, I for one, I was like, what? You got to be kidding me! It's a huge title for Vancouver, and it's awesome and it's well deserved. So for me, it's been a dream. It really has. And then coming into a team that's super well established, incredibly talented, and just awesome people, it's, pretty spoiled, I think is the best word to put it. It's true. Like it really is. So
No, I like that. That's cool. And I don't know. It's definitely like I've only played Gears of War 1, and I bought it when it came out. It was Christmas week, and it was like basically I had a few friends from out of town, and it was all the Christmas parties, and we ended up like basically playing it drunk as hell, and then I lost the disc. That's why I never played it again, because I to this day don't know what happened to the disc. That's how drunk we were. And but like it was a fucking cool game, but like that's one thing that you can associate with it right away is the characters.
Yeah.
And it's the best of both
True,
worlds.
yeah.
Like the humans in it are awesome. Like I watched Superman, like Man of Steel yesterday, and like I remember on Krypton, like Kal-El, I think is the dad. Sorry, or Jor-El. Fuck. I worked on Superman. I should know all this shit. But anyway, like, yeah, I just remember like he had this kind of battle armor, very much like that, where it's just like this cool kind of shit on top of himself, and like it's I really like the designs of that, and always kind of brings back to that kind of like big bulky kind of stuff. So and so the humans look fucking cool as shit, but then on top of that, like all the creature stuff, like you can go wild with that. There's so much you can do.
It's crazy. Like you for a character artist, you get to basically do everything. You know, not that there's anything wrong with, you know, making dudes in suits and pants and stuff, but after a certain amount of years, it does get a little bit old. So everybody has, right? We've all had to do it. So the nice thing about like this project is, like, especially for our character team, we get to do, like Danny was saying, we get to do everything, right? We have more specialties, but we get to model it, we texture it, you know, we do the blend shapes, like we get to do the hair, like everything, which is kind of nice.
You guys even do the blend shapes?
Yeah. We have a pretty good system there that was set. These guys can talk more about it, but Dave Coleman and some of the other guys kind of set it up before we came there, and it's awesome. Really easy to use. Like really quick turnaround for characters and stuff. So
that's awesome. And sorry, I'm thinking too much about Gears of War now, but like. One thing I'm curious, like, again, I should get my head more into video games, but like how much work goes into blend. Like, I'm just curious about the facial stuff, because I don't know why, but like the first video game I worked on was Half-Life, and that had
sounds familiar.
That had facial animation, which was unheard of at the time, but like it was literally just one bone moving the jaw up and down. But like these days, like how much work goes into doing facial setups for video games? Like, are you really seeing a lot? Or?
It depends. It could with our system now. It's a little bit easier, and we actually leverage a lot of work, so it gets easier as it goes. Let's say, but if you were doing it from scratch, there's up to what, like 50 shapes per character.
40 or 50 shapes.
Yeah, it could take quite a while to get through. Especially if you're not working off any scan data or really rough scan data. If it's the case, then it could be a lot of work to with cleanup or even making up the shapes. Yeah.
And the thing is, the more you work on them, too, you start getting a lot faster. You start to understand, exactly what that shape needs to do, not just how it needs to look, but also how it moves into, or how the points actually move from one shape to another. So it starts to speed up quite a bit. So I think initially when we did our first head at the studio and we were working on blend shapes, it took maybe like 3-4 weeks maybe to get it all right dialed in. Now we've gotten the process down for some characters, especially if they're background characters that are less important, to just days. So it's quite a bit of an improvement, I would say.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really cool. Yeah. That's great. And like, what typically are the tools you guys use universally for all the characters? Like, obviously you got proprietary stuff, but what are the key tools that you rely on day to day?
We kind of are able to use Microsoft whatever Paint. We want.
MS Paint.
MS Paint is the only thing we use for texture.
Yes, it's great.
Fuck Photoshop.
But we've been sort of on a Mudbox kick lately that Dan brought on, which was great. Like,
big surprise.
We used it for texturing before, but we've been sort of, everybody has been wanting to try it more and more, and with the sculpting and everything. And I guess Heber and I still jump between ZBrush and Mudbox quite a bit, but
kind of have to sometimes.
Yeah. But it's been good to try out Mudbox more in depth, and
we go back and forth, but you're not labeled to use any specific software. We can use basically whatever we want. So as long as everything goes through Maya and gets exported,
it all ends up in Unreal anyway, so it doesn't matter how you get there really.
But we ended up getting some pretty cool scripts to work with. For some of our blend shapes with Mudbox. So we have like a live connection now. So if we want to start adjusting, we can actually see how the layers are being adjusted with the sculpt layers, and just pop it right back into Maya and update, and it's good to go and stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
We have a really, really good tools team. So they're always asking us, hey, what do you guys need? Is there anything that we can...
Please validate my job.
No, those guys are great.
They have big shout out to tools and rigging.
It's like, please keep me busy.
Yeah. Those guys are awesome.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to say, like a lot of the quality that comes through in the animations and stuff like that is because of the work that they put in the background. They're unsung heroes, so I think sometimes you want to give these guys a shout out. Like,
they.
I think we have to.
Especially like you look at the cinematics that they're doing for like the Ultimate version and stuff, and all the work that the in-game stuff, but also the cinematic team with Kyle and those guys and stuff. It's pretty crazy. It's awesome.
They make our stuff look good.
Yeah.
Cool. I kind of like this, just the fact that I come from not knowing much about Gears of War, other than just appreciating like it's fucking epic. So it kind of gives me a clean slate to ask a lot of questions. But I'll stick with the tools thing for a second, but I wouldn't mind picking on the cinematics as well, because like it's kind of like when we're doing prototype, we had the NIS, which was non-interactive sequences or whatever. But what other tools do you use besides Mudbox and I guess ZBrush before Mudbox?
Photoshop, Maya, 3ds Max, Unreal 4.
Marvelous
I use everything.
Designer.
Marvelous Designer.
I use 3D Code.
One.
I use 3D Code, though I use it to retopologize for meshes. Really, like I think all these tools can be found in Maya, but the thing is, over the years, I've just kind of picked out what I like best from all these packages, and I just kind of jump around everywhere.
So what was that Marvel design? What the hell was it?
Marvelous.
Marvelous.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of software. It's a cloth.
That's more just
simulation
sparingly used, I would say.
Yeah.
But it saved us a couple
What is
times
it?
too.
What do you guys use it for?
Sims clothes.
Sim
clothing. Yeah.
Okay.
Setting up garments and stuff.
So it's a plugin more than.
Well,
it's a standalone.
Yeah.
It's a standalone. Yeah.
Wow.
You still end up having to like sculpt on top of it, but it does fast track things a little bit.
Especially if you have stuff which is like let's say a t-shirt or a pair of jeans, like we know we can sculpt that, but hey, let's just skip ahead the next 2 days so we can actually work on the textures of the materials and stuff that's actually going to count.
Do you guys rely a lot on real-time cloth stuff these days, or is it more of a fad where it's like, okay, we'll use it when we need to, but...
Oh, you're talking about for simulation?
Well, yeah, because you're talking about doing cloth sims, and I get that to initially get that relaxed pose. So that way you start, sculpting creases and do anything else on top. But in the actual game, like...
Oh, in the engine.
I imagine your game, there isn't going to be a need for it as much, but...
We do have physics-based stuff we can rely on, and we do actually have the capability to do wrinkled deformations with maps and blend shapes. We won't get too much in like the
I imagine for destruction and stuff like that,
you can.
The wrinkle deformations, I imagine, for doing destruction of vehicles and whatever else, that'd be kind of handy just to get like bent metal, shit like that. But that's kind of cool. So you'll use it more just to kind of get the initial posing and everything.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of cloth in our characters. Like like in the demo in Gears 4, there's like on the female characters, there's like a little bit of cloth, but that's just like such a small amount that it doesn't need to be simmed. It's just like a bone chain with physics, I think. It's pretty basic.
Yeah, Heber hand sculpted most of it. Like Heber did the female character, Kate, for the Gears 4, and looks beautiful. He did most of it by hand. We didn't really need to rely on any.
Like I simmed it, and I'm like, well, I don't really like that, so I just sculpted over everything. But at least like it's quick enough that you can drop it in there and kind of just let it sim and see what it looks like. But a lot of the time, what I find is there's almost too much detail, so you need to kind of pull stuff back and like kind of work in some certain angles, just because it doesn't look right in motion or whatever.
Yeah, it's cool. And what the hell is 3D Cult?
3D Code is a program.
3D Code. I'm just hearing it. Fucking Canadians, man. I'm like, where does Marvel Designer? Did they make a new superhero app? And like, what is this 3D Cult? It's like I'm picturing candles and.
That's something Heber's a part
3D Code actually. I actually heard about that program when I was down here with Activision. So we were doing scans. It's a voxel-based program, so they drop point clouds in them, and you can sculpt and like clean up seams and holes. So it's actually when I learned to use it. But I've moved away from doing all that stuff. I just use it to drop in my high-res 3D polymesh from Mudbox or ZBrush, and I just like retopologize my mesh, and that's all it is for.
Yeah. So
it's super, super quick though. You can draw like guides and like press a button, and it'll like generate mesh for you.
How does it compare to like the retopologize in ZBrush?
Now Z-Remesher, I like this one better. This Z-Remesher feels a little bit too unpredictable to me. Like sometimes it won't give you a middle seam. It'll just like kind of offset it and stuff like that. And just to me, it's okay if you're doing something really quick, like you need to do like
But video games is especially deformations, things like that.
Yeah, you need like that. That piece of geo to be exactly in that spot. So you need to like that precision. And I think 3D Code does that for me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But you could do that in Maya now. Like there's tools for that.
Now that like Nax has been incorporated into Maya and they've sort of polished it in a couple versions, it's gotten pretty good. Like I used Nax before that, and before that I was using Topo Gun, and I mean they all kind of do the same thing, but when with Nax, I found myself sort of jumping out and doing relaxing in Topogun and then back in. And with the incorporated version in Maya now, they finally added like a smooth tool, and you can do the soft selection type type smoothing, and it's pretty handy. It works really well.
That's cool. And you guys mentioned this before, but like you guys were mentioning about the cinematics. Like obviously, you guys are doing real time cinematics and stuff like that. Actually, one thing I'll jump onto just because I'm curious about this, and I'm sure we're all a big fan of the pre-rendered stuff. But what's your opinion these days about? Because like I've heard this forever about like, real time is going to replace CG, and I've always felt like that's not the case. I do feel like now we're at a place where that is. I think that pre-rendered is more going to be, it's going to suit the need of more marketing, everything else. But do you feel like now real time is going to at that point of taking over?
So there's two ways of looking at this. For games, because you're working on a real time game, you want to take advantage of the engine and the real time solutions we have and stuff. So we don't pre-render anything. Everything is totally real time. All our cinematics, all everything. I do think eventually it will get to a point where everything probably will be real time. I think for directors it makes sense. I know when I was at Lucas, it was a big push with Kim Library and
Kim was doing that even at DD.
Yeah, well. and since he's actually gone to Epic, like he's at Epic, and I think Paul Megan, who is our president at Lucas, he's actually there too and stuff. So I think there is going to be a huge push to get everything real time. It's not. I don't think it's there quite. It's not there quite yet, but it's definitely going that way. I think. Even with like V-Ray and stuff, you're able to view everything on the fly now. So
I see hardware gets a lot better. I think it'll be easier to kind of make that transition now.
I might be making this up, but even RenderMan has a real-time ray tracer now, doesn't it? Like a stochastic type thing. It's pretty incredible. Like from a sort of artistic point of view, I like that cinematics are now real-time across games. I think it works real well. But as a kid, when I was playing like something like Final Fantasy and I would hear the disc spinning in my PS1. I was like, oh, here we go, and you have this really big feast cinematic type thing. So it does to me, like certain games, I think could still benefit from having that sort of awe-inspiring, gigantic type of like cinematic. But yeah, generally speaking, I think the real-time direction that rendering seems to be going is awesome. Yeah,
Command and Conquer for me, like that was one of the first email I ever sent. I was 14. I emailed Westwood Studios. I emailed their tech support people, and I'm like, "Can you please give me some of the models so I can?" So I actually replied and was like, "Yeah, I don't have access to them, and I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to, but I would if I could." But stuff like that. I mean, for a lot of us, those are the sorts of things that inspired us. But I do think that it's more cost effective. Plus, when you're doing tech demos, you can show off pre-rendered stuff, but if you're showing off real time, that's what's really going to blow people away. But I still think that for marketing, and that comes out of a whole different budget to development budget anyway. So, because like marketing budgets, we can talk about that later, but typically they're about the same size for a AAA game as the development of the game is. So if it's 150 or 300 mil, that's probably what the marketing budget is going to be. But that's when they'll usually reach out to Digic or Bohrer or other people and say like, hey, can you do a cinematic? Because that's the shit that they can show on the big screen and everything else. But
I enjoy seeing the teasers, and especially the stuff Blur does when we look at it.
I get really excited about it.
Awesome. I love seeing that stuff. I love seeing the teasers and all that. When it comes to the actual in-game stuff, though, I find it disjointed. Like once you start cutting from pre-rendered to actual in-game cinematics,
that's where it breaks for me. Too.
There's definitely a disconnect, and I think we're so close to the point where I don't know if there's really much point in doing it. The idea of doing a pre-rendered trailer or a teaser to kind of get the point across of what you're looking for, and to get fans hyped and stuff, I think is awesome. I think it always looks cool. But once you're actually in game and stuff, I prefer to just see show me what you can do. I don't need to see you pre-rendered.
And it's funny that you mentioned Final Fantasy, because to me that was always a huge disconnect for me, where be seeing this like beautiful rendered trailer as a kid.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my god, this looks amazing, and I'd pick up the game and be like, huh, okay, wait,
Yeah.
it's not that thing.
Yeah.
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 So I think I think there's a place for both now, and I think one is good to kind of sell the game and get people excited about it. But I also think that in-game cinematics also have their place.
Yep.
Being beside the game, and there won't be that disconnect when you go from the cinematic to the game. It'll just be more seamless, I think.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point too. Like it's kind of doesn't give a fair chance to doing the cinematics too. Like if you splice between pre-rendered and game cinematic, it's kind of positioning it like here's something that takes hours of frame to render, and then real time, and it's kind of going to lessen the quality, even though the quality is really high. It's never going to compare to that. So
when people play and watch the Ultimate Edition of Gears of War, like that, just like how many minutes of cinematics we have in that game, and it's all real time, and it looks fantastic, and you don't. I would never want it to cut to that to be at a slightly higher quality for whatever reason. So I think
we have one pre-rendered, just the intro.
We have one, yes,
but even then, it doesn't look miles better than our
right.
in-game stuff. So.
Yeah, our cinematic team is pretty incredible, and it just the gap is really shortened by that. So
I'll shift it back to you guys, but I wouldn't mind jumping on the cinematics for a moment, just in terms of like how big's the team on Gears of War entirely?
Probably not.
2 games.
150
so,
or
yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a few. We have. I mean, we definitely have external people we work with as well, like extension of our team. 150, I guess. That's a shot in the dark. I have no idea. No idea. Our character team is actually fairly small. Our character team
We're missing one here, but this is it.
Yeah, just Michelle's the only one that's
Michelle.
missing right now. But
we don't know where she is, but
Shout
we'll
out to
find her.
Michelle.
we'll find her. Yeah. Hi, Michelle.
If you hear this, where are you?
Come to
Don't
Alan's
worry.
place. Yeah, 150, I guess.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, the team it's a lean team. There's not
True.
Everybody has specific roles there. Everybody's cranking all the time, so it's not. It's definitely not a bloated team.
Yeah, I
It's a very
think
senior team.
the thing is, it sounds bigger than it actually is because it's since Microsoft picked up Gears as a franchise, they've slowly they have people in there that are involved with
It's 100 lawyers and 50 developers.
something like that. Yeah, there's people that are involved on the writing team and marketing, and there's people that are taking care of the website. So there's all these
It's
different
a huge
facets of
machine.
it. Yeah, and it's a really big machine. So the actual development team is actually not that big.
It's true.
And
And
especially spread across two games now.
and so what are the 2 games? Oh, actually, that's something we.
Well, one is Gears of War 1 remaster. No, Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
I don't like
there
using
you go.
remaster. Ultimate Edition.
Yep.
Okay.
And the other one's Gears of War 4. So on Ultimate Edition, that's actually starting to wind down. It's just bug fixing now because it's going to ship soon. So I think slowly what we've been doing is kind of moving all the people that were on that team over onto Gears of War 4.
That's cool. And so, sorry. go ahead.
And the beta's out right now too.
And the beta's out. Go play it.
Yeah.
Go play
Yes.
it.
That's really cool. So, within the team of about 150 people, how many are artists, do you think? And again, I know it's going to be a broad thing, but...
We have quite a few. We have quite a few artists.
Yeah, our environment team's pretty big, I think.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe half. Maybe that's
No,
just
maybe that's too big. A third.
So 75 or... Okay, so a third. Okay.
Yeah.
So 50 people,
50
then...
people, yeah.
Like I think as a company, we're also very big on tech, so we have a lot of programmers.
That's true.
A lot of people working on all sorts of features for the engine. And
Yeah. We have a dedicated tools team. Which,
I was going to say in tool support
Yeah.
as well.
Our tools
That's-
team's big too. Yeah.
You're going to fly back to Canada this weekend and have like this nice big flower thing on your desk.
Sure hope
Tools.
so.
Yeah.
I know, it's awesome.
That's really cool. I was going to say you got the milestones, but I'm not sure if it's there anymore. I remember all the bars around.
on Yaletown?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's still there. Yeah.
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 No, that's cool. So out of that, and what I was getting at was how many are artists doing the in-game stuff and how many are doing the real-time cinematic stuff.
So we do have a dedicated
Gameplay and then cinematics.
Yeah.
It's two different teams.
So we have our animators are split to gameplay and cinematics. We there's definitely some
Overlap.
yeah, there's some overlap there. But when it comes to the actual assets teams, like for characters, environments, effects. We basically we work on both sides kind of thing. So we build the assets for Cinemax, we build the assets for gameplay and stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's really cool. That's awesome. And I don't know, I mean, just for you guys, I mean, all of you do modeling, and you've got one thing I've always respected, and this is something that earlier in my career I always tried to hire game artists, game modelers over other modelers. Like since ZBrush, everything has all changed, but like I've always found that anyone who came from games would have a much better understanding of how to make nice, clean models, opposed to doing NURBS modeling and everything else, patches where you just got convoluted shit everywhere, because you've got to think ahead of not only what's the bare minimum viable product to make polygon-wise, but also taking into account where the characters go to deform. Like, do I put more topology in shoulders so that way it deforms properly, pelvis, areas like that, and like so. I like it because it seems like everyone who's come from a games background thinks a lot more carefully about every single polygon that gets placed. Yeah. Again, now things are changing a little bit since we've got massive polygon counts, as well as the fact that tools have changed drastically from doing like box extrudes or plotting down like faces and building it up that way.
I gotta say, I was way more obsessive about where I was putting in my polygons before, as opposed to now. Before, I used to like obsess about, okay, like that point needed to be in the exact same spot, so you would get like a proper deformation, like the elbows or the shoulders and stuff like that. Now I think we're a little bit more liberal, but you still kind of need to keep those things in mind. Right?
Now you're modeling veins.
Your area or your exactly. You want your geometry to kind of pool up in certain areas a little bit more than you would in other areas. Like at the legs, you might leave that a little bit more low res, and you might dedicate more to around the face because cinematics and stuff like that.
And what would be the kind of typical stuff that you'd look for when you're making characters? I mean, is there a certain areas that you're going to focus a lot more on? Obviously, face, stuff like that, but do you recycle body parts? I know Bohrer at one point were doing that, which I thought, to me, that was kind of bottom of the barrel when you've literally got a leg you're attaching to the
well,
sometimes you need to do that though.
We're definitely we're efficient with that kind of stuff. We're not like, we have a really like,
has anyone got a hand? I need a hand.
So probably like we actually, like Daniel and Heber, they actually both built a really nice set of female hands and male hands. Like there's for one, making hands.
What do you do? I'm an expert in making women's hands.
Making hands is not it's not the most glamorous thing to do.
It's fucking difficult though.
Yeah, but once you have like and as soon as you have a good set, like we try to reuse it as much
and
as
not just from like a aesthetic standpoint too, but you also go through this long process with animators to get like a hand that properly deforms, and you can form a face that actually holds volume. And once you get that down, you don't want to have to go through that process again. So you build that one set, you test it thoroughly, and then you can use that on everything.
No, our team is very, even though, yes, we all kind of do everything, and there's no like rock to hide under kind of thing. So you have to pull it off, or you're kind of, everybody can see that you didn't. But
that's a paddling.
We do have a very open relationship, so it like we share a lot of assets. Like we have no qualms in going into like the pants on this character look good, I'm gonna like slightly modify them and toss it on this guy, or I can use this chunk on that guy.
It's the only way to kind of hit our deadlines sometimes, especially with when we're creating characters that are lower tier, like let's say a background character, which we had to do some for Delta as well on our team. It wasn't all outsourced. Sometimes we needed to do a really, really quick turnaround on them, so you needed to just kind of piece it together from what you had. But for our main characters, we kind of try to give them a little bit more attention, a little bit more time.
It is. I find it like, especially when you're first starting out, people can be very possessive of their own work. And when you go into a studio or freelance or whoever it is, like when somebody's basically paying you got to remember that they actually belong to them and not you. So you have to let go, and you have to be more efficient. And just the point is to get that, in the can and move on. So the sooner you kind of let go of that and realize it makes it all easier.
Do you find that you get that a lot, where someone's like, oh yeah, make him a bit taller, or do this, and it's like, no, like I made this character this way for a reason. This is my baby.
No.
No. I'm just saying in general. Okay, I know what you're doing, but I'm just saying in general. Like, have you experienced that?
You feel it, but we never we don't have discussions or arguments or anything like that, because, like, to be fair, our art direction is really spot on. And when they do have notes, it's usually like, I can totally see the point of this. But sometimes you do feel attached to an idea, or like you're like, oh, I'm gonna put this in and they're gonna love it, and then like, yeah, everything looks good except for that little thing you put in, and you just, oh, why, kind of thing. But it's never a contention point or anything.
And after the art director will come and mention something to you. You might not initially agree with that feedback, but the more you think about it, you're like, okay, it makes sense. It's, they're trying to see the bigger picture. I might have this very narrow view of what the character is, but they understand the game as a whole, right? And what it needs to be. So I kind of trust them to, make their decision.
It's a really good point, because we've definitely gone through it a couple of times. To speak to what Danny was saying, like you definitely have an attachment to what you're working on, because you put so much time, blood, sweat, tears, and maybe a little booze into what you're working on. And our art director, Kurt Gibbons, who's just awesome. So just a phenomenal art director, great guy. He's very back and forth with, letting you kind of find the direction you want to go with stuff. But he still keeps a vision in his head of where, the franchise is and everything. And he'll just make suggestions like, have you thought about doing this and that? And at first you don't really think about it. And you're like, well, I'm going to think, in the hips area.
But why?
And then you go through the process of going through it and making some adjustments. And you realize that, as much as you want to stay attached to what you're doing, you have to think of the overall picture of how is this going to look as a full game kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
it's tricky too, because everyone's an artist. They want to create and be creative, and at the end of the day, that's always going to be the trickiest thing, is like you're being hired to do a task and you come on to do that task. And ultimately, it's not your vision. And ultimately, it's a job. Like, it's not like you're going to go make your own short film or something where it's like, I'm going to have creative control. However, anywhere that's good and supportive is still going to allow you to speak up and share your vision. But ultimately, if they were to say, no, this badass guy is going to have a jump rope, and that's what he's going to have, you got to drop the chainsaw and let him, do that. But I have seen it occasionally where people kind of react negatively, like, I want this and it's going to be this way. You're ruining the movie or whatever it's going to be.
I'd say we've gotten pretty lucky with that. I think our art director, and even Dan, who's our lead on the project, anytime he asks us to do anything, he's always like, okay, what do you think? Like, it's always a discussion. Well, not a discussion, but it's always like it's a collaboration. It's not someone just dictating to you, hey, this is what it needs to be, but, hey, let's talk about it. Like, maybe, there's a middle ground there.
Well, it
and
sounds like
they want to know, like, okay, like, what do you think? And also, kind of reach a happy medium sometimes.
Well, that's what you want. Like, if you got a dream team of people who are all professionals, and that's the other thing too, is I think the more you go into your career, you're more emotionally intelligent about everyone around you. So whether you're supervising and telling people what you want, you're still open to, hey, is this what, you agree with, or is this something that you have a different vision for? But at the same time, you're able to kind of take a step back and not, be so carefully consumed by it. So that's good.
Our team is very senior, which is great, because people they understand, how to work with other people.
Yeah, not too much emotion behind any of the
things.
There's
there's just no bullshit, everyone's in always such a great mood. Everyone's happy. The work is awesome to work on. It's summertime in Vancouver.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is good.
Oh yeah. Right.
So there's nothing. There's really not much to be upset about. It's cool. It's very chill, and we all hang out like outside of work and stuff too. And
I miss Vancouver.
That's nice.
Well,
Just come back.
I who knows? Like, I'll definitely pop up sometime and see what's going on, because I don't know. Like, I'll just quickly say, like, I never imagined ever that my favorite city in the world would be a North American city. Like, I moved to Vancouver when I was 2009, I think, and like when I got there, I expected it to be, I don't know. Like, I expected my favorite city to be somewhere, in Europe or somewhere in like the Southern Hemisphere. Like Australia has like Bali, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, all these other, like, Fiji, all these beautiful places. And I went to Vancouver and like I fell in love with it right away. And the thing is that, like, on the surface, it's just a regular city, but I don't know, people there are amazing, and bars there are awesome.
Bars.
Yeah.
It's becoming a hub again too for entertainment, like movies
huge.
especially.
When I was there was no film industry,
and now it's one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah, no, it is. It literally is the biggest.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so it's kind of blows my mind a little bit. I was kind of pissed off that just after I left, it started to pick up.
Yeah.
But
also stealing LA's weather, so
that's right now. Staying along that list.
But so with the character stuff, again, I'm just kind of curious about this, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too. But let's say for polygon counts, like what do you guys regularly limit yourself with for a hero character? First of all,
Dan, go.
Yeah. How much stuff can we give away?
stop MySpacing.
Sorry. We have MySpace. Who bought? Didn't Justin Timberlake buy that? Bought MySpace?
No, I know they did a comeback about a year ago where they paid JT and Brittany and a bunch of other people to I don't know, maybe you did or the table.
Anyways, we have pretty decent budgets. I don't want to get into the specifics. I don't really know how much I can say.
I'll say this: it's never enough.
It's never enough. No. So that is the one thing is
1 billion polys.
You know, we always want to add more polys and stuff. I think even just like viewing the what we showed yesterday for Gears 4 though, everything holds up really well. We always want to add more. I think for the average consumer though, I don't know how much they would notice a difference between whether we're beveling something or adding poly here, poly there, a couple more strands of hair. So our budgets are healthy. That's all I'll say.
For the kind of targets that we're trying to hit for performance, I think they're where they need to be. But as an artist, I always want more.
Yeah.
But
the thing, like things are running, like our the demo we showed yesterday, which I guess people for whatever reason thought it wasn't running real time or something.
Oh really?
But it's everything runs.
They were those dirty people who just brought a video to E3.
Yeah. I think that's true.
We did not bring a video.
We didn't. Everything that was being played there was totally legit.
Being played on the console, all that.
And I tell you for a fact, because we have to go through when we were doing the E3 piece, like in replaying it over and over and over again, looking for bugs and stuff. But the budgets are healthy. Getting back to that, but,
can I just interrupt for 1 second to say, like, is there ever that high pressure of like whoever's demoing of like, what if it crashes? What if I'm one of those guys on YouTube tomorrow because some shit hits the fan?
It was Rod Ferguson, so I think it was pretty safe.
Yeah.
Safe of it. The build's actually it's super stable too. Like it's I don't think anybody was really worried about anything like that happening or anything like that because we play tested it. It's gone through the ropes and it was fine. I don't think anybody was thinking. If anything, everyone was super stoked. Like, look at this, we're able to go up there on an Xbox One and fucking rock it live, kind of thing.
And I don't think people expected it.
No.
Yeah,
I think there's something to be said about playing something on stage.
Yeah,
real time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Because I've always got that. I mean, there's been countless times. I mean, I'm doing a demo on Max or whatever, like a few thousand people, and it's like, oh, Max crashed. It's like,
just gotta deal with it.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's not something you need to really worry about too much. If you're demoing Windows and Windows crashes, then that's going to be
which actually did happen once.
Yeah, I remember a big blue screen of death at some point.
Yeah.
Fired. But you occasionally get booed. It's kind of funny, but no, that's cool. So, also, I'm just kind of curious because like I've not really been tied too much to video games ever. Just here and there, I've done a few productions. Like I did Black Ops earlier this year, but I had nothing to do with the tech as much. It was more to do with the pipeline as well as doing a lot of the art assets. So, obviously, normal mapping is important, but like. I remember at one point, a few of the guys at Activision were put together like MRM, which was like the multi-res meshing stuff to change topology in real time. Like, is that something you guys still like? That's in games, or is it more?
It's doable, yeah.
I mean, I'm just wondering whether it's like more of a fad, or whether it actually is still like real-time optimization of like character topology.
Are you talking about like real-time tessellation kind of thing?
Yeah, so where it's culling the essentially the tessellation.
I'd say it's bigger for environments than it is for characters. There's issues with seams and wind deformation, that type of thing. But as far as real-time tessellation and displacing those birds, I've seen some really interesting things.
It actually makes a lot more sense for environments because for me, it sounds cool back in the day, but like I imagine these days with bigger poly counts, I'd be more worried about like seeing shit in the background, kind of. Doing some weird shit because it's changed topology so much. So
we tried to do it for 1313, and we just, especially on bound characters, we never could get it looking right. There really wasn't a point because their budgets are high enough too. It's
environments make sense though, especially trees, foliage, shit like that.
Yeah. 100%.
Even when you're close and you see rocks like in the ground, like instead of flat ground, you're seeing pebbles and textures and everything.
Yeah.
It's nice, 100%.
What are the biggest challenges with building characters for Gears of War? Like, what are the things you look out for?
So we're trying to take a more realistic approach to how our characters look. So proportions are a little more realistic, surface details are more realistic, and still having it feel like it belongs within the Gears universe. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, in general, like for you guys, what do you find as the big challenges that you look out for when you're building your characters in general?
I find for me, it's heads. Like sculpting heads is it's always hard when, especially female characters. Whenever I'm handing one, I'm like, oh man, here we go. And
Females in Gears of War.
Yeah,
That's actually great you guys mentioned that because that's going to be my next question. So, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So it's usually there. Obviously, things that I feel more comfortable doing, but that's the great part about how our team works is.
Everyone has their strengths.
Yeah, I don't get to do just the things that I feel comfortable doing. In fact, that's less of my job really. So, yeah, whenever I'm handling like a female head, I'm like, oh, okay, let's do this, and that to me is a big challenge to get it to feel like proportional and appealing at the same time, whatever the character needs to express and be and. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
For me specifically, I want to mention Ultimate Edition. So that was Gears of War 1, remastered for the Xbox
Kind of like
One.
the Halo anniversary.
Exactly, yeah. So there was a very tough challenge in that, in trying to bring over all these characters that people know and love that are iconic, and also give them an updated look, while at the same time, having them still. Have that essence there, right? Everybody knows what Marcus looks like, or at least in their head, they know what they look like. So there's only so much of that we can change and update, right? Mm-hmm. So we can't go too realistic, or we can't go, way too stylized. So we kind of need to find that balance in there. And I think that was really tough to kind of hit on the first batch of characters we did. But after a while, we kind of got into it, and But I felt like that was actually the hardest thing for me, is kind of nailing exactly where that needs to be. So for the armor, it was like updating like the buckles and stuff like that. So it all felt like it was more believable. Like the surfacing was looked metallic and stuff like that. So it was a challenge.
Cool. That's actually what I wanted to ask was, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but which do you find is more difficult, doing male characters, female characters, or doing the big detail demon characters? And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that one, but out of the three, I mean, like, what do you guys find to be the most challenging to do out of like men, women, and also all the monsters?
Women, well,
yeah.
I actually haven't done a woman character for Gears.
Yeah,
no, I haven't. Like I worked on Kate, but I worked on her body.
Yeah, so, I imagine like the amount of detail.
But I would imagine that would be the hardest thing.
But no, yeah, we're like Dan is a phenomenal artist, and obviously he's done several amazing female heads. So it helps a lot. Yeah, like when I'm working on one, it definitely makes the process easier when he jumps in and like. He works a little bit on it and points out what's not working, and I assume it's a great learning experience, but it's also great that I can rely on that as sort of like a feedback type tool. Yeah. But females for sure.
Yeah, I think females are always, I think, the hardest. For me, hair is always a bitch. Hair is always a bitch.
Do you model all the hair in like patches, or how's it done these days?
We do. We actually have a pretty good system that we started to implement. It's actually the same system we were using on 1313 and Tomb Raider, and we got some newer shaders, newer tools over here at Microsoft. But we're still using Joe Alter's shaven haircut. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're still using that. We still go the old school way. Basically, we create our textures and place cards and stuff. But we're getting some pretty decent results actually.
Yeah.
Great
right now. Yeah.
Actually, I agree. Actually, I'm gonna change my answer. It's definitely females and hair.
Yeah.
What was your answer before that?
Hairy females.
Hairy females.
Right. Females and hair. Yeah. Because like I said, I knew the answer to that, but it sounds so contradicting. It's like, oh, really detailed, crazy detailed creatures. Whereas like I would assume that you would have a bit more freedom
Yeah.
with creatures, but like with women, men, I think it's the same way of drawing. Like men are easy to kind of block out. Like my girlfriend, for some reason, like that's her artwork.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
amazing, by the way.
The thing is, like, she can't. Well, she struggles a bit. At least she tells me she does. I think she just feels it, but like struggles with painting dudes, whereas like women, she's really great at. But which blows my mind because I kind of imagine that less women just have to be more minimal. How would be the best?
Subtlety.
Yeah. So
I think it's you have to be really subtle with females, where it's like with guys, you can kind of be a little bit more heavy-handed, and it might even add to the character. I think. Or
giving wrinkles like that will add to the character.
Yeah.
With women, you can't do that.
So when you actually see, like, when you look at a female model, when you look at like a model's face, it's actually a model, like a female model. Their heads. This isn't a diss on them or anything, but they're always quite symmetrical.
Yeah.
So those heads, when you're actually working and making a supermodel or a female model, it's always never going to look 100% right, because you look at them already and they're obviously stunning, but there isn't a lot of asymmetry to the face. In your eyes, when you're looking at a head, you're almost looking for imperfections and asymmetry. So when you're working on like a male dude or whatever, chances are, one of our schmucks, that there's a lot of asymmetry on her face, so it's more believable. It's easier to get across. So females think a little bit more difficult, because when people make females, they're not necessarily making, an ordinary random looking female. They're trying to go for like the super hot and sexy with a symmetrical face, and sometimes it falls.
Yeah, and what are they using as reference? Magazine scans and stuff like that, which are photoshopped anyway.
Yeah,
so
Exactly.
Women especially are kind of. You definitely do get this transformed, hyper real look of like what is real and what is what we accept. So, I find that just to be really amazing. Even just this is such like a big subject, but it's kind of interesting just to kind of see that like magazines just take something and distort it to what is meant to be acceptable. And there's actually been so many great case studies on that recently, where we're even like doing getting like a Vogue or Cosmo cover and having different countries do their interpretation of like how they would Photoshop it, and like every country seems to be so extreme. And it is so amazing because you're right. Like when it comes, at least in actually this is a really fun subject, because like at least let's say 10 years ago or 15 years ago, what would be a game female character would be very surreal. And this is when you start getting into subjects like DOA, whatever that game was, the fighting game. The extreme of like just where it's quite sexist and quite bullshit. And then I do remember, I think it's Tomb Raider 3 or Tomb Raider 4, she went from being this ridiculous kind of game character to having like a B cup and like kind of switching down to being a normal person. And I think that's where you start to realize like the game audience is, I'm throwing just a random number out there, but I would assume like 30-40%. It's actually pretty high these days. Right. And it's like not, and even then like the male audience playing video games is typically 25 to 35, I'm guessing. So it isn't
matured a little bit.
It isn't a bunch of teenage boys who are like, this is, I want hot chicks running around games. It's like, no, you want great content and in the real world. So.
Believable.
There's been lately, fantastic examples of strong female characters in indie games and even like bigger titles. Last of Us, it's a great example.
Even Tomb Raider, like
Tomb Raider.
I love the character work in that.
But
no, it's really great. Like
it's really nice.
Laura's very interesting too, because everybody has a different opinion of what Laura looks like. So we went through, holy cow, lots of different iterations. Even myself and then Cameo, the other lead there. It's changed a little bit, but for the most part, she stayed almost exactly kind of the same. But the idea, at least for Tomb Raider, was to make her more believable and not have to kind of get away from like the sex symbol kind of thing. Like make it feel like it is a girl you'd see like walking down the street with like a strong personality who's like believable kind of thing. I think it's I was actually proud seeing like what they released yesterday. It was cool.
That's cool. That's really awesome. And how did things go? Like you're obviously in LA for E3, and so you guys were announcing Gears of War 4 yesterday. How did that get received? What did you guys show, and how did it get received?
I think the reception was actually really positive.
Yeah.
I don't think people really knew what we were planning to show, and it was so tough because you wanted to tell everybody what you were working on.
Right.
There had been a couple leaks regarding the Ultimate Edition stuff, but again, even with the leaks there, it was really well received, and I think Gears of War, like the new Gears that we showed, everything was actually really well received. I think Microsoft in general had a really, really good show yesterday.
Yeah, it
and
was
stuff.
a solid presentation.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to add to that, but
No, I
You
was
summed it up.
yeah.
I was very happy with the whole Microsoft show. It felt like they had so much to show that they had to like maybe pick and choose what exactly they would have to leave out, kind of thing. It didn't feel like there was any filler in their show, and I thought it was great. Lots of strong titles, but I'm very proud of how Gears did very well. I think the reception could have been better, and everything seems to have worked out pretty well.
That's cool. You guys should be proud. And I actually went to look up last night, like the announcements, and I went to GameSpot, and they had like the Microsoft reveals, and it's kind of like paralysis by analysis. Like there was so much stuff. I just was like, I'm not even going to look because I didn't know where to begin, which is a good thing. It just means like there's so much stuff to be unveiled.
Yeah.
And what were some of the other game titles or announcements that kind of caught your attention?
Really interested in this new Guerrilla game. It's the guys that did Killzone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about the name. It's like
Horizon
something. Yeah, it looks great though.
It looks cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Is it a first-person shooter or what is it?
Third person.
It's like third person.
Are we talking about the Monkey Island looking one?
No. I think you missed it.
That I'm excited
Yeah.
about too, by the way.
So that's the one I'm looking for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To me, it was the Final Fantasy VII remake is really interesting. Shenmue 3 is like,
We were talking about that earlier.
it's pretty impressive that that's coming out.
Last Guardian. Sorry, I gotta say Last Guardian.
I was thanks, Heber.
Yeah.
No, but the Last Guardian is something I'm waiting for since, forever. And
Me too.
I'm pretty stoked that that's coming out. But it's not like, I don't know, any of these games, they were surprises, but they weren't really like, there was not much about it, I thought. And it's interesting, but it's not something
It wasn't
that
like
is...
Alex the Kid got announced like a new...
Yeah.
It's funny, we were talking about Alex
Really?
Kidd the other day. Yeah. I'm the Miracle Ball.
That would be cool. New Alex Kidd game.
I remember when they did like the Shinobi kind of spin-off
Oh
one.
man,
Yeah.
I love Shinobi too. Yeah.
But that's really cool. So like Shenmue, whatever, like we were talking about that earlier at breakfast. So this was something that they had made like 1 or 2 games of, and then basically someone tried to crowdfund getting a new one made.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's been funded. It was funded overnight.
Yeah, it's like one night,
crazy.
$2 million, right?
Yeah, it's up to like almost 3 now.
That is,
So-
yeah.
Do you think it's a healthy budget for like, I don't know, like
No.
I knew nothing about it, so
Sounds like they need way more than that.
No, to me, I think they set it really low because they'll know people
Yeah.
will buy into it.
Yeah, if they do something with the size of the first Shenmue on like current platform, it would be like like a GTA 5 type of scope.
I guess 2 million could get you like first vertical slice.
Yeah,
And
I'd say that's correct.
that's cool though. No, it's really cool. What about all the tech so far, or what do you think is going to get announced this week that you're excited about?
The VR stuff.
HoloLens.
Yeah.
HoloLens looked amazing.
The HoloLens,
Yeah.
The stuff they were doing
away
with,
with
the stuff they showed with Minecraft was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Microsoft thing yesterday. Yeah, VR. I think we're all looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there.
Yeah, because for a while for me, I have I have had different kind of thoughts about it, but right now I kind of want to see what the actual software implementation of it is going to be now. We looked at the hardware for a while, right? But now we're starting to see like actual what could be titles for it.
Do you guys know externally, like publicly, when HoloLens is going to come out? And that's why I'm saying externally, because obviously there's a bit of conflict here, and that's why.
I have no idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
Do you know?
No.
I don't. I don't.
Do you think it's going to end up being like Iron Man, where you can?
I sure hope so. It's like
That would be
I want Minority
you
Report.
take the generation of kids that have been glued to iPads, and then you give them virtual Lego that is actually sort of in the living room. So it's like Lego for when we were kids, but I mean, through the lenses and stuff. So Minecraft was really interesting because of that. But I sure hope it is something that kind of seamlessly works and you don't have to be reminded that you're wearing that at all times. If they can really pull that off, then great. Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic. It looks like it does that because the demo was pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it, like especially the fact that there is so much VR stuff coming out right now, and it's not all the same shit. Like you got Morpheus and Oculus Rift and all these other ones, but then like suddenly you get the HoloLens, and it's like, okay, great. Like there's other areas that can compete in a completely different world space.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than what those are.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that it has applications to actual real life, not just video games.
Yeah.
Whereas like in HoloLens, like one of their big things, and what I'm most excited about is like if you're walking down the street and you're like, I'm trying to find this address, it'll just show you like in real time where that is, and it'll just drop like a little arrow in your world. So I like that it has these applications that actually affect your life, not just the entertainment space.
I saw that like demos like years ago, and this is back then. I didn't think it was really achievable, but you see like I think it was actually Microsoft doing it, but demos where you'd be at the airport, you're like, I got to get to my gate. Like, which way am I going to go? And it would actually create a line. You just got to follow exactly where you're going.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So, and eventually, I'm sure they'll have people detections. That way, when you're staring at your phone, it's going to say, "Move out of the way," because you're about to walk into someone.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Yes.
Look up.
I remember it was probably 2000 or 99, and I was walking down the street texting, and I bumped into someone, and it just made me suddenly see the future of like how dumb we're going to be. Like I always see ants are all walking in a line and they're all bumping into each other everywhere, and it's like that is going to be us. We're going to be stuck in our phone and we're not going to look where we're going.
The future is here.
So many traffic accidents.
You walk up in Vancouver, like you walk up Robson Street on a Friday evening. You have to jump away of people, otherwise you just walk right into you. It's true. The future is here. It's not great, no.
I think Robson is one-way street, right?
No, it's two-way.
Maybe it's can be one of them, because I don't know why, but like whenever I always think of this one street in Vancouver. It's one way. It's in Yaletown, but I've seen maybe 4 cars drive up the one-way street because they can't be bothered going around one block. So they're like, screw it, I'm just going to drive up the street, dodging traffic to just get to that other street, a few feet away. And I've seen it so much, it makes me always think here, like whenever I see a car maybe almost drive up a one-way street, it always makes me think like, fuck, I've seen people do that shit. Like, maybe they're Canadian, but I've seen people do that shit.
Fucking dummies. It's gonna be busy. I'm gonna meet with Chris Nichols with
CG Garage.
Yeah, do that tomorrow. Gonna meet up with the Tomb Raider guys later with these guys. So
where are you guys gonna meet?
We're going to a Skrillex party tonight, actually.
Yeah,
not just party.
Yeah. Well, I've got a huge deadline this week for a film, and I've actually committed with the director to meet Friday. I'm expecting an email any minute now about the whole call. So I'm like, okay, there's no pushing, because originally it was going to be Monday, and I'm hanging out with you guys. But I've got tickets for the party, but I wouldn't mind maybe doing. I'll see how I go, but like I'd do afternoon drinks or something.
Oh yeah,
that'd be kind of fun.
Right. Let's do it.
Just quickly, like you did the artwork for the T-shirt.
Yeah. So me and
when do you guys take a photo of that?
We can take a photo.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just do a selfie on your chest.
So we did
enhance.
Yeah.
I always like that whenever people are in Photoshop, it's like enhance.
So we took the assets that we had. So in a way, everybody worked on that. But we did some V-Ray renders for it, and it was myself and Lucas, who is a friend of mine from Brazil. It's a great CG artist.
They all are.
Yeah.
Germany and Brazil seem to put out freaks.
Something in the water, I must have not drunken from it. But
bring some back in a bottle.
I have that cachaça Delcio Gomez got me. It's over there. Actually, that's on the bottom shelf.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. But so we did a couple renders, and then we had Carlo, who's one of our concept artists. He's fantastic with lighting, and he did the post work for it. It was pretty nice, and then it printed on the shirt, so that's pretty cool. Yeah.
You're not going to name drop the shirt printer? No, I'm kidding. So what was the process for that shirt? Just to put it together?
So yeah, we had about, I guess, a couple weeks to do it, and yeah, we had the characters posed by our I think it was our lead gameplay animation. J-Hop, yeah. So he posed all the characters, and they sort of pre-approved the camera with art direction, and we just started doing sort of individual character renders per character. And we would, I did the first which was Marcus. I did the first setup, and we kind of came up with like a shader, a material network for V-Ray to kind of translate the maps we already had, because obviously V-Ray doesn't have any metalness-based materials, but that worked pretty well. And once we had that set up, we kind of used what we could for the other characters, and we would finish one character. I would do some like 4K renders overnight, and then Carlo would comp in the morning, and we kind of kept rotating over. After Marcus, Lucas, who is in Brazil, but we kind of doing it over the wire. He took on the other characters, and I would he would do the most of the work on them, and then I would sort of render them locally and do whatever little tunings we might have to do, because obviously the art direction was in Vancouver. So we did that, and then Carlo would take it, and they would sort of finalize it. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a great little side project.
But yeah, so is there anything else you guys want to cover in here?
Just a big shout to like all the feedback for like the gear stuff's been really awesome. For myself, it's like it was humbling to just get like all the nice comments and stuff. And these guys, like, they killed it and stuff. So I'd just say like, yeah, it's nice getting all the nice feedback and response and stuff from people.
As far as the character team goes too, like there's 3 of us here, but we're missing one, Michelle. Fantastic job.
I was just about to ask, what's Michelle's full name?
Michelle Jean.
Yeah. She's a fantastic artist. It's great to work with, and yeah, whenever she sculpts a head, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna retire right now.
I just get depressed.
Yeah, it's just very depressing. But yeah, she's great. Yeah, too bad she couldn't come.
Yeah, she did the JD head and Kate's head.
Great, man. Well, it's awesome. Well, thanks guys for coming along, and
thanks for having us, dude.
It's been fun
awesome.
Drinking, and I have a feeling it's not going to be over just yet. So
no, not for a couple of days.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. That was really fun to do, and I'd love to get your feedback, because if this is something you find to be really fun and something you're really enjoying getting a lot from, then I'd love to do more of these, specifically like roundtables with groups of people. One thing I shouldn't mention, because it's not official yet, but I've been talking with the Call of Duty guys, especially the Black Ops team, which I worked with earlier in the year on Black Ops 3, and we're talking about doing a really in-depth, really cool episode. Just right now, we're just trying to push it through Activision's legal department to get all rolling, but I think that's going to be really cool to be able to talk with the guys who've done literally about 7 or so of the Call of Duty so far. So that'll be really fun, and I want to do a few more of those, as well as even interviewing production teams from a few feature films which have recently come out. So there's lots of cool stuff in the works. And at the same time, like I mentioned, I'm finally building a full-time support team to help me get through the thousands of emails and everything else that I've usually end up spending all of my weekends, literally from morning to night, trying to play catch up on. So I think that it's going to be able to help me move forward and get a lot more going and do a lot more. So I'm really excited about that. The mentorship has been going really, really great. And there's a lot of things that I've been doing with those guys I want to start doing publicly as well. So lots coming up. As I mentioned, reviewmyreel.com. I'm not a huge fan of the name of it, but I just figured it's simple, it works, it makes sense, and explains exactly what it's about in the domain name. So if you go to reviewmyreel.com, you can sign up for July 8th is the next review session, or the first one, I should say. And I'm sure, as with everything, this will grow over time. It'll be something that I want to do because I think that it was a lot of fun when I did it with CG Society and Bohrer Studio. And I think that it'd be a great chance for a lot of people to gain access to people who are top of their game, who typically are in charge of handpicking people for their teams. and reviewing a lot of reels, and they know what works and what doesn't. And at the same time, like if you just want to spectate or ask questions, go for it. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. As I mentioned, the career intensive is going to be something I want to be doing pretty soon as well. This is going to be like a live Q&A session with me where I'll do a live webinar. I'll talk with you guys about your obstacles, your sticking points, and interact with you guys and really kind of help you work on your goals and how to kind of push it to the next level. That is something I'll be announcing probably in the next couple of episodes. I want to get the first real review session done before I start kind of throwing more things in there as well. But keep an eye out for that. Now, if you want to check out the show notes, there's a lot of information I'm going to be putting in there. So if you just go to allanmckay.com, so ALLANMCKAY.com/41 for episode 41, and check that out. And finally, the last thing I'm going to mention is that on that link page, you'll be able to see a link to get on the Insiders VIP list. And that is something that I've been doing in my spare time and actually putting a lot of my time into it right now. And this is a chance for me to start building a very big kind of newsletter mailing list. I shouldn't say a newsletter. It's essentially a place that I can give away a lot of really great material from email scripts and PDF printouts of like a lot of really awesome stuff to help build your career, hit your goals. There's a lot of cool stuff in there for negotiating money, even email scripts on literally how to apply for a job that have helped people who have been applying for jobs for months get jobs at really big studios right away. In fact, there's got to be at least a few hundred people who've emailed me about major successes they've got, and even guys who are very experienced who've changed how they apply for work and how they treat that stuff based around these kind of more formulaic approaches. But that is something that even in the past week, I've been contributing a lot to do with really succeeding at job interviews and how to get the upper hand in job interviews, how to really kill the interviews. So that's been something that I've gotten a lot of really great responses from, and I've been continuously contributing a lot of really high value content to that. So check out the VIP list. It'll be in the show notes. So again, allanmckay.com/41. And lastly, there'll be a link to episode 30, which is an interview with Dan Roarty, which we mentioned a lot in the podcast. Now, I did mention that there's a contest that I want to be running over the next couple of episodes. And I won't mention this episode what I'm giving away, but I will say that it's well worth over $500. It's actually worth more closely to $1,000. And I'm going to be having a chance to give this away in the next couple of episodes. All I want you guys to do is, if you enjoy this podcast, to go on iTunes and write a review. And you can make it as long or as short as you want, but it would mean the world to me, and it would help obviously get a lot more ranking, better attention for the podcast. I mean, that's how iTunes ranks a lot of this stuff, is to do with how many downloads or listens there are, as well as how many people write reviews. So for me, it would definitely be something that would help gain momentum for the podcast. And I'd be really grateful, because obviously I put a lot of time into these, and I'd love for these episodes to reach as many people as they can. So if you can just go to iTunes, I'll leave a link again in the show notes, and simply leave a review. But to be part of this contest, if you can just put at the bottom of your review a hashtag VFX1. Okay, so that is just a hashtag VFX1, and that's just to mention, for me, that this is to do with the contest. So that way I'll randomly pick out at least one person from the contest in the next couple of weeks. I'll post more information about this next episode, but again, go do it now, get it out of the way. But if you want to be a part of this, as I always say, you got to be in it to win it. And in this case, it literally is the truth. So that's it, guys. Thanks again. I've got another really awesome episode coming up next week, as well as some other really awesome announcements. So till then, rock on.